Hi there, it's Roger V from Swift Marketing, and in this video we're going to show you how to remove bad reviews, how to protect your online reputation from potential attacks, social media, and we're going to talk about viral marketing. Now, some of our solutions, such as traditional search engine optimization, are pretty straightforward. Now, what we're going to talk about today has a lot of overlap with other factors of your marketing. My commitment is that this video is valuable to you no matter what, whether you choose to delegate it and hire a company like ours, or even if you don't, you'll walk away with a new insight and some new clarity about all the hype surrounding social media and really what it means to your business. First, I want to talk about removing bad reviews. I need to issue a disclaimer right away. Reviews are technically the property of the website on which they are submitted. There are plenty of companies that claim they can remove bad reviews, and really what that means is remove them from page one, which really means flood them down or off the page. It doesn't actually mean removing them. The Communications Decency Act protects websites from lawsuits, so even if you wanted to take the approach of suing them for libel or slander, you would have a hard time winning that case. So there's a silver lining there, which is we can help you sort of inoculate yourself against online attacks, and we're also going to show you how to manage your online presence and your online reputation. Online reputation management, or ORM, is really what we're talking about here today. Also, I mentioned that ORM can be a little fuzzy, and what I mean by that is it overlaps with search engine optimization, certain aspects of your pay-per-click, and it also overlaps with press or PR and any sort of efforts you have regarding getting publicity organically in traditional news media. Now, this is only for companies that care about their brand. If you're sort of like an affiliate marketer and you're in a hit-and-run space where you just want to make the sale, nobody's ever likely to talk about your brand, you don't need any of this. You can save your money. Now, if you have a real business in the real world and you care about your brand and your online reputation, then you absolutely need this, and you must know about it because you will be a victim of it if you do not. You can poke your head in the sand like an ostrich, but it's not going to protect you. The first thing that I want to talk about is that social media is actually part of a hierarchy of positive engagement. And there's been so much attention paid to it that it's really turned out to be a buzzword, and now the din is kind of dying down and people are starting to see it for what it is. At the base of this pyramid is simple brand awareness, and this is where social media often falls. So this is dig.com, StumbleUpon, Facebook fan pages, Twitter, and it's really just about making your audience sort of aware of your brand, but not necessarily enticing them yet to a buying decision. The next rung up the ladder in the hierarchy of activity is buying signals or online buying behavior. And this is really about online advanced ad tracking and about lead capture. Facebook fan pages, when they're done right, can produce you leads for your business and be a signal of online buying behavior for somebody that needs your service or product. In addition, services like Yelp are usually only sought out when people are at a point of pain, and sometimes that looks like they're simply hungry, right? They want to find a pizza restaurant, so the pain is simply the hunger. They're going to choose a place to go eat. But it could mean that they need their car repaired, right? And so they turn to Yelp or Angie's List to find a business with some positive social buzz. The next rung up the hierarchy is actual reviews by real consumers. Now, here's where it's both an opportunity and a threat. If you do not manage this and monitor it, it will bite you. And the reason is, unhappy clients are 800% more likely to post a review than happy clients. We'll talk about that in a moment. We've got some software and human systems to counteract that. And this is also where you have websites like ripoffreport.com, which cannot be sued because of the Communications Decency Act. They can potentially be disastrous to your online reputation if you don't take control of it. The pinnacle of the hierarchy and the pinnacle of social media is referrals by actual clients and actual sales. And that can be tracked using special offers and tracking URLs. Next, I want to talk a little bit about our process for online reputation management and show you how it works with us, and then I want to talk about negative reviews and what we can do to remove them or mitigate the effects of them. So first, our process. Step one is going to be search engine optimization for your brand and domain. And specifically what we're trying to do is flood the page regarding keywords relevant to your brand. So your actual brand name, when someone searches for that, we want to dominate page one so that in the off chance there's ever an unhappy client, it's not going to interrupt the flow of clients finding you. And we even want to create some positive reviews, some positive buzz, some additional backlinks, and long and short of it, we want to dominate page one as much as possible. This will help inoculate you or vaccinate your company against disgruntled employees or unhappy clients. Step 2 is what we call a social land grab, and that is that we want to set up as many profiles as possible linked back to your core domain. Step 3 is where we start to put up a moat, and what I mean by that is we pre-flood some of the review sites with good, real reviews, hopefully based on real clients from you, although we can do the work of posting those reviews. And then we keep a reserve of accounts ready to flood if something ever does show up that is negative. There are sometimes some clients and customers out there who are just cranks, or they could even be competitors who have never actually been to your business and are just bent on trying to destroy your business. So what we do is we create, let's say, 25 or 50 good real reviews. If a negative review then shows up, we then bury it further in, so you end up with a 99.2% positive rating with one bad review buried deep in the middle where no human is ever likely to see it. Step 4 is where we start to get a little crafty and start to rise up the hierarchy, and we set up an exit survey for your business, and this can be whether they're clients or not, whether they bought from you or not. And here's where it gets really tricky. What we do is we ask them to rate on your site using our proprietary code, and if the review is positive, then we will syndicate that out to various places and basically push that review out to the world, and we'll also ask them for referrals, ask them to click like and like your Facebook fan page, and basically move them up the customer engagement hierarchy. In the off chance that it's negative, that's when we want to open a trouble ticket and make the client feel heard. That part is really important. What we want to do is have you create some human policies for what to do if a client ever is unhappy, and we can basically capture that, make them feel heard, and then you can give them a call and try and mollify them with discounts on an additional product, or try and make it right, or do a partial discount. However you want to handle that is really going to be up to you. But sometimes simply them feeling heard will be enough to prevent them from posting a bad review on websites. By the way, we have a new forms system that is designed for iPad. So if you've got, let's say, a plastic surgery office, a client comes into you and they would typically fill out some paperwork at that time about their medical history, something like that. One of the things we'd like to do is basically make that electronic, so you can just simply hand them an iPad and say, here, fill this out. And by doing so, that information can potentially go right into your system. It can also trigger the exit survey and go into your CRM. And of course, it's tied to Swift CRM. Steps 5 and 6 are to set up the human policies for what to do with that information. Specifically with dealing with unhappy clients, you want to basically open a trouble ticket, call them on the phone if needed, do whatever you need to do to try and make it right and at least make them feel heard. And step 6 is, of course, creating the environment where you're really gracious with the people who are likely to refer you and who do refer you. Send them thank you cards, send them a Starbucks card, have a cruise giveaway for the client who refers the most to other clients. However you want to handle that is really up to you. But we've learned that it comes down to a few things, which is calls, notes, and physical contacts, touching them ideally 8 times. It could be a mix of email and handwritten cards and a phone call just to follow up with them. Long and short of it, you need to get in front of that client 8 times, and it'll stick in their brain that you were great at your job. In addition, clients during a procedure or during a process or during a transaction with you are 70% more likely to refer you than clients who are completely done and off deck. I say that because a lot of entrepreneurs think, oh, I should finish the transaction with them first and then ask for referrals. But the truth is, start asking for referrals right out of the gate, and then when you've done enough work to demonstrate that you truly know what you're doing and they feel confident that they're in good hands, that's the first time to really start asking them for referrals. And then, of course, as you fulfill the transaction, continue to ask and let them know that you depend on referrals and that you appreciate their referrals. Most businesses simply won't even ask. And the truth is, if you go to a good restaurant, you probably told some friends about it. Humans are wired to refer. You just have to really ask and then also set up the environment for them to do so. Also worth a note is that most businesses are good at the sort of old school hugs and handshakes, interpersonal relationship style of sales, or they're good at mass marketing client acquisition, and it's extremely rare that a business is good at both. Part of this software and online reputation management is to take the skills of both and sort of merge them together to combine real-world referrals with the power of Facebook and some of the social media platforms. So you get the immediacy of the technology, but at the end of the day, it's still real humans that are happy with your business and have some level of engagement referring their friends and colleagues to you. And finally, step 7 is to monitor, track, and then improve with a steady drip. And when it comes to online reputation management, a steady and consistent drip is far more effective than a single big push. Unless, of course, you've got something wrong. If you've got something wrong, we can hit the market pretty hard and then get you onto a steady drip program. Assuming that you don't have anything wrong right now, set up your moat and your defenses in advance, and then set up an inexpensive but consistent maintenance program will go a long way, and it's far easier to prevent an attack than it is to deal with an attack once one is made. If you run a business that has any degree of risk, and frankly most companies do, especially if your average sale amount is more than a few $100, what we can do is set up a moat in advance. What we may do is set up a profile, what looks like a complaint, on a very highly ranked website like ripoffreport.com. We will then post what ends with a very positive, happy client that it was all a misunderstanding. And the reason we do this is that it's the ace in the hole that we could pull out if we ever needed to. We make the initial complaint, we then end on a positive note so that the client who's initially complaining is happy. We will then let that erode over time, and then what happens is if anybody ever does go and make a new ripoff report, we then reactivate the old one simply by making a comment. And because Google's going to prioritize the most recent activity first, this is a way to basically put out a bear trap for any would-be complainer. And hopefully it's never needed, but if you do, you can just reactivate that page. It'll pop to the top and including above the other complainer, and by doing so, you can thus protect your brand. Last, I want to talk a little bit about bad reviews, and we've got a couple tactics. So, step one goes without saying. Prevent them in the first place. I'm assuming that you're good at your job and that the vast majority of your clients are happy, but what we need to do is we need to use that exit survey because, like I said, unhappy clients are 800% more likely to post a review than a happy client. So what we need to do is all those happy clients you have that normally just don't say anything, we need to get a review from them and syndicate it out. Step two is know that they cannot be removed because they're technically the property of the website on which they're posted. You could theoretically sue the individual, the poster, not the website, but the poster, if you could identify for sure who it was that was making the post. But usually if somebody makes a truly negative post, they hide behind an anonymous looking profile name. So the best defense is to protect yourself in advance. Truth be told, it's virtually impossible to go and associate a negative post, and you could only sue them if it were untrue. If the complainer's story is based on reality, or they are hiding behind an anonymous profile, which most of them do, then you're not going to have a leg to stand on legally, so we simply need to prevent them and inoculate against them. So step two is just realize they cannot be removed, but what you can do is post a rebuttal in the case of Google. Each website has its own policies regarding removal. However, most of them will not remove because it is against their financial interest in doing so. What they want to do is, frankly, stir up trouble in the case of Ripoff Report. They claim their goal is to protect the consumers, but it's really to generate page views. In addition, any company that claims they can actually remove a report may be blackmailing you. And that's a slippery slope to go down, and it's unfortunately the reality of the internet today is that it is possible, theoretically, well, by somebody without ethics, to create negative reviews about your business and then blackmail you and say, well, we can remove it and you just need to pay us. The reality is that is probably happening. If someone truly does get the negative review completely removed and not just flooded down the page, but actually removed from the website, then that means that they had control over the initial bad post, which means they're probably blackmailing you. And so obviously negotiating with a blackmailer or paying a blackmailer is likely to lead to have them continue to do it or do more of it, and you just never know. That's a slippery slope. It's like negotiating with terrorists. Tactic 3 is to, as I mentioned before, you pre-flood and then you flood it further down the page and off of page 1. Truth is, most humans are not going to, they're going to look at the average and they're going to only look at page 1. So if there's a negative review on page 13, who cares? A human's probably never going to see it. If you only had one positive review and then somebody went and posted 3 negative reviews, you're going to have a terrible reputation online and it's going to really damage your business. So by pre-flooding and posting a large volume of positive reviews and syndicating that information to various websites so that the aggregate data is positive, you can then make it easier to flood them further down the page. Now that I've given you this information, you've got 3 choices in front of you. The first is to do nothing, but you can decide when to implement this and how you want to go about it. 2 is to do some of it yourself and to work with us just in a consultation basis and have us give you just the software that we use for the reviews, syndication, and a map of how to handle the rest of it yourself. 3 is to have us handle all of it. We can certainly do that, and we've got programs for all 3. Of course, we're happy to have a conversation with you, and it just starts with where you are and where you want to be, and we'll do a little bit of research, give you a free initial consultation, and recommend one of our packages for you. Take that next step today and have a conversation with your Swift marketing consultant. We look forward to speaking with you soon.